Hytale has proven me wrong. When I learned that Hytale was actually releasing after being canceled just a few months prior, I was super excited. It had been 7 years since the reveal trailer, and a game that I thought would never be playable was just a few weeks from release. After the honeymoon period of consuming all the new video, images, and news surrounding the release, it finally hit me. What if this is too good to be true? I took off my rose-tinted glasses and looked at Hytale for what it was. A super early access game that its own developers described as unbalanced, buggy, and lacking many of the features originally promised. I created a list of concerns I had and posted a video discussing them. Now, having played the game for a week, I can honestly say that just about every concern I mentioned in that video has been proven wrong. Before I share everything I was wrong about, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, you. Just by watching, you allow me to create content here on YouTube. If you're interested in future Hytale videos, be sure to like and subscribe. One of my biggest concerns with Hytale was I thought the release content would be too bare bones. And what I mean by that was when they mentioned that the game would not be launching with adventure mode, which is the mode I'm most interested in, I thought there just would not be enough to do and there wouldn't be enough structure to keep me interested for very long. The game launched with exploration mode, which is basically the adventure mode, but no structured story, no questing, no bosses. It's essentially just a sandbox mode. And I've played games like that before. Some I've stuck with, others I've gotten bored of really quickly. And I didn't really know where Hytale would fall on that spectrum. Well, I was proven wrong because I've spent the last week just wandering around exploring the world. I haven't even seen everything the game has to offer. I've barely scratched the surface in the 4th zone, and I haven't even done much in the 3rd zone. I spent the first couple of days in the 1st zone wandering around, exploring the entire area, gathering resources, chopping down trees, discovering all the creatures, and just trying to figure out my way in the world. I took my time upgrading gear, got myself copper gear before progressing on, eventually made my way underground, which was obviously far more dangerous. The deeper you go, the more dangerous it gets. And honestly, I don't even think I've discovered everything that's available in the 1st zone. Since then, I've moved on and wandered into the 2nd and 3rd zones and explored those somewhat extensively, but not completely. I just the other day got into the 3rd zone and started getting the ore that was in that zone that I need to upgrade to the next tier of gear. But the game launched with far more than I was kind of expecting. Is there stuff missing? Yeah. There's like a cooking system, but it's not fully fleshed out. You can capture animals, but you can't breed them. You can harvest resources from animals, such as like milk from cows, but you can't make a farm of cows and get a bunch of milk from them. You just have to kind of go out and gather it with a bucket. But that's stuff that's all going to come in the future. There's 6 different tiers of gear you can upgrade to after the initial stone tools that you start using. And aside from that, there's also just lots and lots of different creatures. There's, I think, 240 different mobs in the game right now to discover. There are tons of different resources. Almost every kind of wood and stone that you find can be crafted into a different type of building block with multiple options. The building system is pretty phenomenal. To be completely honest, sometimes I build bases in games, other times I just don't. And I spent a bunch of time on my current save just building a giant house. I was worried that the roof would be a pain in the butt to build, but the way they've done the building system, the roof pieces just mesh together perfectly and they blend together, forming the nice little corners that you oftentimes can't make in other games. And honestly, I just can't praise enough how well what they've delivered is at this point. The combat is pretty decent. The movement's pretty decent. There's so much there, and I know there's so much more to come that honestly, I could see myself playing the game for weeks and weeks and weeks, maybe months, without them really adding much to it. Perhaps my biggest concern about Hytale was that it would not be different enough from Minecraft. Obviously, looking at the 2 games, you can see that Hytale is inspired by Minecraft, but contrary to what many people have said, it is not a Minecraft clone or a Minecraft knockoff or a mod for Minecraft. It is its own game. I was worried, though, that even though it's its own game, it would feel too similar to Minecraft. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Firstly, the traversal in Hytale is completely different. Rather than just running around, you can actually use your weapon's charge attack to lunge across the ground much faster. When jumping off of surfaces, high areas, you can roll to avoid fall damage. You can walk up a single block instead of having to jump. You can jump up 2 blocks. You can mantle up 4 blocks. So the traversal alone differentiates Hytale significantly from Minecraft. Additionally, the combat feels totally different. In Minecraft, you basically just walk up to an enemy and hit them, or maybe you jump and hit them, depending on which version you're playing. In Hytale, you have the regular attack, you have the charged attack. Once you build up the little meter in the bottom, you can use your Q special ability, you can shield bash, and you can also run and slide. And honestly, I feel like the combat, while it's not perfect right now, and it will probably get better over time, I think that'll be another differentiating feature where instead of being just super bare bones combat, it'll feel like it's a little more fully fleshed out. Next is going to be the tree cutting. So of course, when you're playing most voxel games, specifically Minecraft, you have to chop every little piece of wood from the tree to break it. In Hytale, you just chop down the base and the entire thing falls down. This saves durability on your axe. This gives you resources much faster. It's just a fantastic way of handling tree cutting in a game like this. Another concern I had was that in Minecraft, it didn't really matter where you spawn. There's like 60 plus biomes. They might have a different color palette. Maybe there's some different creatures there, but they all feel relatively the same. You're just going to dig down and get stone. Then you're going to get iron. Then you're going to get diamonds. And then you basically are good for the rest of the game. Doesn't really matter what you spawn in. In Hytale, you always currently spawn in the first zone, but each of the 4 different zones and the sub-biomes within each of those zones feels unique. They have different creatures. They have different resources. And the gear progression, which kind of goes along with it, means that you have to farm the ores that are in each area. So obviously in the first zone, you're going to find copper, and then you can also find iron. You can use those to upgrade your armor and weapons and tools. Later on, you'll go out and get other ores and other resources, and those will be needed to upgrade your different workbenches as well as the furnaces and crafting stations, just to be able to use the other ores to make the higher tiers of gear. That alone is good enough progression for me. It makes it feel meaningful. Like I actually have to go do something. I can't just instantly go down and get like the best gear that's in the game or close to the best gear that's in the game and trivialize everything. You actually have to explore out, put yourself in more dangerous situations to get the better and better stuff in order to make yourself feel stronger. And with each of the zones having, each of the zones and each of the sub-biomes having different creatures in them, there might be some creatures you have to go to a specific zone just to find them because maybe you want to hunt them, or maybe you need something from them. So there is a lot of things the game does similar, but there are also a lot of things that it does different. And I feel like even right now in its early access, really early on state, Hytale separates itself enough from Minecraft to feel like a unique experience that is worth experiencing. Another concern I had about Hytale was that I was kind of worried that they were going to lean way too heavily into relying on mods for carrying the game, at least through the first couple months, maybe years of early access. It was cool to see that they're doing official mod support day 1, and the game launched with like hundreds of mods instantly, and there's probably more even like right now. I have personally just been playing vanilla. I kind of want to do everything at least one time before I start messing with mods. But my concern was that the game will be so bare bones that their mods will be needed just to keep people interested. And I don't think that's the case. I think there's enough there, like I said earlier, that there's enough in the game right now. The foundation's good enough to just play the game, and mods will just enhance that. So I'll definitely try mods out in the future, and I'm sure they'll provide unique experiences. But I think that the game currently, with what it has, offers me at least enough to do for the foreseeable future without even having to delve into any kind of modding. So I have 2 more concerns that I wanted to briefly talk about before I wrap the video up. First is going to be that I thought the game would be poorly optimized at launch. The reason I thought this was because the developers themselves said that they thought the game was just not in the best state. And I was kind of worried that based on this, and they kind of were just talking up, they were kind of lowering people's expectations, and maybe they were doing that on purpose so that people wouldn't expect too much. But to be completely honest with you, the game has run pretty much flawlessly for me in the week that I've been playing it. I've had no crashes. I've had maybe 1 or 2 times where it felt like there was a lag spike. But overall, running around the giant world, now I'm playing vanilla, I'm playing by myself. So maybe there's different experiences if you're playing multiplayer on a server or you got a bunch of mods loaded up. But at least for me, my experience has been the game is pretty good, pretty well optimized. And if they can make it even better, awesome. And then lastly was the game not being on Steam could limit the number of players. Boy, was I wrong about that. I was really concerned that they were only going to have maybe, I don't know, a couple thousand players, maybe 100,000 players, which is still a lot of players, but just not a ton. But there was a report that the game may have had upwards of 2.8 million concurrent players on day one, and that definitely sold millions of copies. So not being on Steam, contrary to, I guess, popular belief, and contrary to what I've always thought, was you launch a game on PC, if you don't have it on Steam, it's going to be really hard for it to be successful. Well, so far, Hytale has garnered enough players to, according to the developers themselves, we funded at least the first 2 years of development. So there's millions of people playing the game, which is awesome. That's going to hopefully give them more feedback, because obviously a concern with a small player base would be no feedback, people not bugs not being found. But with so many people playing the game, pretty much everything that's probably wrong with it's going to be found. Like I said, the game's not perfect. There's areas where it could be improved upon, which I'm sure will happen over time. But overall, my experience so far has been great, and I look forward to playing Hytale for the foreseeable future. So if you're interested in Hytale content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.